Hi folks, thanks for tuning in to today's Adventuring Art. I appreciate you tuning into the channel. Thanks again for watching some of my videos. I appreciate you coming back. Right now I checked as of recently, we were at 62 subscribers, up from 50 I think last week or 40 the week before. So at this rate we're growing very large, so I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, and I'm very thankful that you're taking the time to spend with me and check out these videos. Today's video is going to be a little different than the previous videos, which have been mainly adventures that I've been sharing with you. This is more of a product review of something that I'm really passionate about. So if you're looking for more of an adventure of some sort, then what I would do is I would take a look at the link at the top here that basically takes you to my previous video, the Aurora alien site, where I met Ned the alien. I suggest checking that one out. However, this video is more just along the lines of like kind of one of the items that are important to me, which is, it's called or titled, this is the Alpicool T50. In this video I'll be overlaying some screenshots and videos so you can see a little bit about the product as I'm describing it to you, and sort of why I decided to get this product, why it's important to me, and how this sort of fits into my daily lifestyle as a person that works out of home and someone that goes on adventures from time to time. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned and we'll go ahead and switch on to the review. What is Alpicool T50? It's spelled A-L-P-I-C-O-O-L, Alpicool, right? So you name it whatever you want to name it. The T50 is the unit, the specific model. Why did I purchase the T50? Now there are a lot of different kinds of electric / DC, AC powered refrigerators that are out there, as well as the standard coolers that you throw ice in, and Igloo. You've got the styrofoam kind, you've got the ones that got the big rubber latches. I think they're called Yetis. So you've got a Yeti, you've got all these other kinds, and I've had friends that have had these, and I've seen their experience and seen kind of what they liked or disliked about their product. So with all of that background of coolers and seeing the things that I like and the things I don't like about it, I've kind of came to a conclusion of what I'm looking for in a cooler specifically. Now I do have other coolers other than the Alpicool T50, which I normally, when I take them along with me, I use them for dry storage. So I may just, I have a deep well cooler. I'll put in my bread, rice, or whatever I'm taking out on the road when I'm going on a picnic or hiking trip, camping trip, etc. So a little bit about the Alpicool T50. It is a electric using home shore power, which is AC power, the standard plug outlet you have in your house. It operates on 110 volt, which is just your standard electric outlet at home. And then it also operates on 12 volt, which is your DC battery that's in your car, or like a lithium ion battery that you use, like a battery bank, but it has to have that cigarette lighter adapter. So that's the only caveat here. Actually, I have a set of two deep cycle batteries, and I have a 110 volt inverter that lets me convert those batteries into regular home electricity, or just using 12 volt electricity using a little cigarette adapter plug-in that I plug into those batteries when I'm out on the road. As far as outside and outdoorsy kind of things, I use this particularly because I want to be able to plug in to that battery and keep the refrigerator cool, which will keep keeping my food cool or frozen. So this unit actually has two sides to it, a refrigerator part and a freezer part. Now, as far as plugging it in at home, I like to be able to use this in the house as well. So I'll plug this at home when I come back out in the field, and I'll enjoy whatever I have that's in there that I leftovers from camping, or I'll use it for whatever products that I consume throughout the week. I do have sort of a special diet, and I have a house full of people, so our refrigerator is typically packed. So this is typically where I put all my dieting foods, all the foods that are just specific to kind of help me maintain and keep my diet. I normally use this unit to store that type of food. Now, Back to out in the field. So when I'm out camping and I'm out on an adventure somewhere for an overnight experience or a 2-day experience, obviously you can go stop at the grocery store and use your traditional cooler and throw ice in there, and that works fine. Now, me personally, I drink a lot of water, so I may load this thing up with water bottles or half water, half soda, and diet sodas typically, and then I'll just go through them and rotate them out. However, the thing is like when you're constantly opening it in a regular cooler, cooling off your drinks, the ice starts melting. And then you empty it all out, you take your food out, same thing happens again. You put more stuff in, the ice starts melting again, and eventually it just becomes water, especially in Texas. It gets really hot here. You know, we're talking 105, 110 on the extremes. But so if you're out there camping or if you're doing something here in my area, you know, you're gonna need either some extreme shade, and even then it won't last that long unless you've got one of those expensive Yetis or whatever like that. Actually, this one cost about $3.19 when I bought it back in December. There's also a version with an LG motor. It's the Alpicool T50-LGT, I believe. And the LG supposedly is a better motor. It's, I don't know, a little bit better reputation, but I just went with the standard one. It comes with a good, Alpicool has a really good warranty program from what I understand. And I use a credit card, which basically doubles your warranty whenever you purchase through that credit card. Of course, that's depending on your credit card provider if you go that route. So basically, I have about 2 years worth of coverage on the unit. 1 year from the manufacturer, 1 year from my credit card. So if it lasted 2 years without any issues, I'll call it a complete success. And if not, hey, that's what that's for. It took about 5 days for it to arrive. I believe it came in for me on UPS. I did order it through Amazon, and Amazon, I guess, used their carrier shipping at UPS. The box arrived in good condition. There was no tears or breaks in the box. It looked really good. As I unboxed the product, I did see that there are the two power adapters I referred to. It does the unit itself. when you unbox it, you obviously take all the plastic off, and you'll plug it in. I tested it first at home, so I plugged it right in, and then oh my gosh, it just froze quickly. I think maybe 10 to 15 minutes. I was already down from 78 degrees to down like around 40. So it already dropped like 20 to 30 degrees within a very short amount of time. And then a few minutes later, it dropped even further. It got down to about 32, which is kind of where I wanted to have the refrigerator side, 32, 33 degrees. You're going to see that there are 2 baskets that are already kind of pre-installed. So you'll have these 2 white trays, the baskets that pull right out of the unit. And then there's this white divider that goes down right down in the center. This white divider has magnets on the bottom of it. And what it does is it tells the unit that the divider's in place or not, because when the magnets meet the bottom of the unit, it basically clicks on or off the dual temperature zones. If you pull that magnet tray that's right, the divider in the middle out, it's all one temperature. So you can just drop it down to as low as you want to go, or put the divider back in and have half the unit be a refrigerator and half the unit be a freezer. There also is a drain plug inside the unit. You'll notice at the very bottom of the left side, there is a drain that you can pop out. It just pulls straight out of the unit, and you could flush water through there, or if you're cleaning it and you want to drain or frost that's sort of accumulated on the inside, which after 2 months of having it, 2.5 months, I have a light layer of frost that's going around the side, which is understandable. I never turn it off. It's always plugged in and it's running 24/7 essentially. You'll notice that on the unit there's a display gauge that has a plus and minus symbols, and there's a square, meaning the left side is the square and the right side is like an upside down L. And the reason why there's an L is because it's basically showing you the right side has a deep part and like an L that kind of goes over to the right with a little platform. Underneath that platform is the actual compressor. So the freezer is slightly smaller than the refrigerator side. The right side will always be your freezer, unless if you pull out the divider, and then it can all become just a refrigerator or a freezer altogether. I normally will go either full freezer or full refrigerator, or kind of like what I've been doing here at home. I do half and half. I keep bottles of water refrigerated on the left typically throughout my day, and I keep about 7 or 8 frozen boxes, and I put Halo Top, I have Skinny Cow ice creams, I have Lean Cuisines, I have Stofers. I've got all these different little frozen meals, all on this right side, which you'll see here in the video, in the pop-up and overlay that I'm showing up on the screen. As far as like the quality, it's sturdy. You know, as I bang on it, it feels real hard. The only thing I would suggest is that you would put a layer of insulation on the lid, because that's where I feel that it's noticeably cooler compared to the other parts of the body. As I touch the top, I can feel a slight cooler zone. I use an infrared thermometer, and I can see that that lid is a little cooler than the body is. So that tells me some of that radiant cooling is escaping a little through that plastic lid, because there's not, other than an air layer, I don't think there's really any insulation in that. So perhaps just some better insulation that they could use, either foam or whatever it may be. But my kids have sat on the lid. You know, they come into my office, and when this was on the ground at one point, and they just sit right on it. So it does support the weight of, well, I wouldn't put a big heavy person like myself on there, but my kids have sat on there, and they're just completely fine with it. I love the wheels. I love the handles themselves. The fact that one handle can become a lifting arm to roll it. You can also use it as a handle to carry, you know, with your two hands. You know, so one person can carry it, or you can actually roll it. Now it is a little heavier because it's got the compressor and that little thing in it as well. I'll put the weight here on the screen here so you can see how much it weighs. You know, so the LCD screen is really easy to read. It's very bright and very clear. On the inside, you'll notice that there is a LED light, and this light is so invaluable for me. You know, I never thought that it would be that important, but you know, you've got your phone, you're camping at night, you know, and yeah, of course you got your little flashlight on your telephone, right? And you're just shining it around to see what you can see. But when you're lifting the cooler up with one hand and you're digging around with the other, well, how are you going to shine your light? What, are you just going to bite it with your mouth and then shine it down? No, this thing has a light built into it, and the light is bright enough so you can really see in a darkly lit area. The light is right there centered in between both, right over the divider, so you can see onto both sides of the cooler. So that's kind of nice. Probably my by far favorite feature of this thing, as quirky or dumb as this may sound, is the USB port. It's got a little USB port on top. So if you've got your phone right there, and you know, hey, it's evening, it's not sitting in direct sunlight, I'm just gonna set my phone right on top of the cooler and plug it in and let it charge up while I'm just hanging out here, because the 12-volt battery is charged in the cooler that I have. The deep cycle battery is cooling it up. The unit does have some vents. There are vents on both the front side and the back side, and I believe those are your air intake vents, and the one on the right side where the power goes is your outtake. So it's got ways to pull the air in, and it needs that area to expel the warm air that the compressor heats up. So it does put out a little bit of warm air. I'm in a small closet office where I typically work out of, and this is running all day long. So it's not incredibly warm, and there's really no air circulation in this office as well. But it didn't warm up any different from when I had previous to having that in the office. As far as maintenance, I would suggest using perhaps vinegar or water as you are cleaning it out. You know, maybe a vinegar spray, maybe even Windex, you know, to get the inside and clean it out, to make it sure that it's smelling fresh. But overall, you know, it's got a nice kind of like rhino lighting on the top. It feels like it's got this, you can hear it, like a textured feel to it. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the build quality so far. The motor itself seems to be running well. It does make a slight hum. Let me plug it in so you can hear. So you can hear the bulk of the sound is coming out of here. And or here. This is where the fan is blowing out the warm air. So yeah, the sound, it's okay. It's not too loud. It's noticeable, but it's not, I wouldn't have this in my tent with my head facing right next to that motor, because that would wake me up. But if it were at the foot of my tent or the foot of my camper, you know, it probably wouldn't bother you too much. It may kick on and off just depending on how much of a light sleeper you are. The most that you'll hear is that fan that I just showed you. The features that I wish that it had would be a little more insulation on the top. And as I'm demonstrating here, closing the lid, it is a little difficult. So if you just drop the lid, it doesn't close it. It just kind of leaves about a 1.5 inch gap when you close it. So you really got to kind of get the palm of your wrist and give it a good pop, pop down so that it actually pops into place. So perhaps a different latching system or mechanism to actually lock it into place would be helpful. I have found probably 3 or 4 times where I had left it open, slightly cracked, thinking I had my 5 pounds or 7 pounds that I pushed on the top was sufficient, and it wasn't. So those would be the 2 recommendations for this unit of things that they could improve on. But overall, it was pretty easy to fix that, and it didn't burn out the motor overnight, having left it slightly cracked, right? So that's a good thing, and it's been working fine ever since. So here we are in March, so I've had it over 4 months now, and I've enjoyed every day of it, running it 24/7. As soon as it starts warming up here, I will be taking this out with me on several camping trips I plan on using, and then just hooking it into my 12-volt battery. We did have a moment when the power went out here in Fort Worth. You probably saw it on the news that most of Texas lost power and water and things like that. I had this thing plugged into my deep cycle battery, and it never lost power for the several days that we were without. So the power in the 12-volt battery was sufficient enough to keep it running. And I actually ran my home refrigerator at the same time off of that deep cycle battery. I did have to charge that battery up a little bit with my truck and hook up some jumper cables, just because I didn't want it to get too low to damage those deep cycle batteries or the cells themselves. But honestly, this thing doesn't pull hardly anything. I think I've seen it pull 30 to 40 watts if the thing was constantly running. Now sometimes this thing will drop down to like 5 watts whenever the motor is not kicked on and it's not running. So I would think maybe a few days that you can get off of this, off of one 100 amp hour deep cycle marine battery. Lithium ion batteries, you'd have to do the own conversion yourself, but it doesn't use a lot of energy, and that's really one of my favorite perks and things that I like about the unit. Overall satisfaction, I think I gotta go with what Amazon is saying. I'm giving it 4.5 stars, but definitely this, for the price point, for what it does, for the amount of ice and the level of frustration and things like that, for me, this is a total win, and it's a total must-have when going camping or going out in the wild, or even having it home if you want to have for your little personal office like I have. If you are interested in the Alpicool T50, I'm going to leave a link down here in the description below. So be sure to expand the description on the video and click on the link, which will take you to this unit's page where you can look into the different choices for purchasing it. I'm not sponsored by Alpicool. I'm just an enthusiast. I really like it, and I just wanted to share that with you guys, that maybe if you're interested as well, and that's about it. So hey, let's just go do a quick rundown and overview of the facts. So first off, storage space, exterior size, we're looking at about 28.5 by 14.2 inches, which is the equivalent of about 50 liters. It fits about 57 12-ounce cans of Coke or whatever you got there. It's got dual temperature control zones, or you can consider opting into the LG T50 compressor if you want the higher end one, which this one has been completely fine. I don't need that. Freezes without ice. It's powered by the motor, and it actually runs great. You've got the dual refrigerator zones that's separated by the magnet, or you can have one giant zone. And then the features, it's got the built-in LED light, it's got the foldable handle and the wheels, the easy carrying built-in light, and the internal baskets that are inside of it. So that's basically it. So there's your feature list. We've talked about price, $319. It could change by the time you're watching this video, but if you're interested, yeah, again, click the link down below, and be sure to give this video a like, thumbs up, or subscribe if you want to see more content like this. If you like this type of review, let me know what you thought about the video today as well. I was happy to review this for you, and I'm just really excited to share something that I really liked, and it's pretty much a part of my everyday life. So I use it all the time, every day, just because I keep it at home and I take it with me when I go out camping. So again, thank you for tuning in. This has been an adventuring art, non-adventure, more of an adventure in products. But thank you for tuning in, guys. I do appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next adventure out there on the road. See you around. I'm using my webcam here, so it's not as high quality as you probably just saw. But let's go ahead and begin, and I'll take a look and show you the Alpicool app. So first off, I'm going to launch the app here. You'll notice that I have, so I'm looking here at my phone here. You'll notice that there is a device down here below. If I click on it and connect, The first time you connect to it, it's going to actually go through sort of a pairing process. It'll have you go to your Bluetooth settings and basically connect to it, but it's rather simple. It's nothing complicated. But once you connect to it, as you can see, it's already set up for Fahrenheit. You can go in and update the settings. So let's start off with, maybe at the top left, looking at Bluetooth. So that just takes you back to the previous screen. Power off. I'm sure that's going to power off the unit. Left box and right box. Left box, if you remember, that's the big square that we talked about earlier. So if I click on left box, actually these don't do anything. The way you adjust them are down below. So you've got your dials here, 31, 32, 33. So you can kind of see where I'm adjusting towards the bottom part of the screen here, 31, 32, 30, 29. So I'm going to just keep it at 33. And the right box, I'm going to, I can go as high as like 50 degrees or something. So -1 is kind of where I like to keep it. It's right now in eco mode. I'm going to go ahead and switch that over to max. You may have just heard the beep behind me. And then it just tells you the level of volts it's going to pull, 12 volts. So if you have a 12 volt battery, it's going to, let's just say if I were not using on shore power and I was just using a 12 volt battery, if once the voltage hits 12 or lower than 12, it would shut off. So I could actually switch this down to low voltage and really just run that battery closer and closer down to almost where it's completely dead. In this case, I like to leave it at 12 because I use deep cycle marine batteries. If you use lithium ion, let's say, then you probably could go down to 9 volts, which is a very low voltage, but it's going to let you get down to a lower voltage so you can really maximize and just drain that battery as much as possible. Other than that, that's really it. I mean, I can go into settings. There are some more features in here, and 90% of them I've never used or touched. But yeah, smart card fridge on. This is like a protection so that if that top setting it'll prevent your battery from getting run down or drained down to a level your car won't start. So if you leave that on, that's what that setting's for. Max temperature, minimum temperature. These are just the settings that I have plugged in and set in. So I can go as low as -4 or as high as 68 degrees. Looks like you can do a start delay. You can delay it, I guess, by a few minutes after plugging in. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of information here. And then I can go to change the theme of the app, change the language. But yeah, so those are your settings. You're welcome to look at those if you decide to get the app or get the unit itself. But yeah, you can switch from Fahrenheit to Celsius, obviously. So I set it to 0 Celsius, and yeah. So anyways, there you have it. So this is the app here, what you're also seeing on the screen here. That's it. If you have any questions, just be sure to let me know down in the comments. If you have this unit, I'd love to hear your experience with it. And if you're interested in getting it, and I'd love to see your stories and the adventures you take yours on as well. So there you have it, and we'll call that a wrap.